After I just watched the last video that we just loaded, they had a thing about Donald Trump signing an executive flag burning order. And you're like, God, that should be embarrassing. Right, you do that and you look at my YouTube. Okay. I see people being mass murdered by industrialization, which is psychotic and archaic. And I get up and correct the technology so we can all live better lives given to us by the glory of God and help us worship like Jesus Christ. And you sign a piece of paper saying people can't take a flagpole rag and burn it. The thing about it is if a flag hits the ground, you're supposed to burn it according to their tradition. But the thing about it is that's just a tradition written down by people that are not the source of gravity and photosynthesis, right? So poor Donald Trump, he should be radically embarrassed, if he compares himself to, okay, that guy's the Messiah and I'm the president, right? And I do things and say things and I look like a complete psychotic Himmlerian macaroon. And these other people look like they're storming Normandy and mass murdering the poor people for the rich people to maintain status quo for money. But they consider themselves liberals that are nothing like Hitler and nothing like the Nazis at all. You're like, yeah, okay. You'll kill people over money. Okay, how are you any better than the people that you're killing over money? Splinter in the plank, and you have these people and you watch them and you're like, guys, serious, man, this is a very serious matter. Quantum computing is very serious. Artificial general intelligence to connect and manage quantum computing to help us be better people for our planet and our species to survive insanity is very serious. Okay. The apocalypse is a real thing. It's really happening. The event is culminated by the continuation of an eternal life through a specific individual. Okay. You can't sit there and say none of you, how many of you that your life, you go read the book of Revelation and go, this is telling about my life, and then can explain it better than people that do it, that sign pieces of paper that say, hey, here's what we're going to do. You signed your bill, your wall. I mean, it should be embarrassing, and hopefully that embarrassment would be enough to modify your behavior so you radically change immediately, right? That would be nice. That's what I want. What I want most from people is just basically understand the application of physics of the faith of Jesus Christ. You don't worship Jesus Christ. You worship like Jesus Christ. Okay, if people have you say worship Jesus Christ, that's a genocidal maneuver through linguistics to target and kill people like yourself. Do you understand how this game works? I've understood for a while. That's why I tell people do not use the word God as a possessive pronoun or first person. Okay, the people in the scientific community in this in this community, okay, are very psychologically, mentally, and emotionally damaged. Okay, they are like Spock's dad and Spock's mom on Star Trek. Okay, this is weird and obnoxious and uncomfortable, and yeah, holy cow, Can't walk up, hey, Dad, how's it going? Miss you too, son, love you. Okay? All this dysfunction through, just a proper display of emotion is, Now, if your dad was a drunk and beat and cheated on your mother, then it'd be like, hey, just keep walking, asshole, I don't want to talk to you, right? Get the hell away from me, right? Okay. And, if your dad took all the money and went and screwed around other people and had 5 outside children and 2 other wives, Dad, you were a jerk and I don't want to be anything like you, right? We don't need to talk. I want to say I'm sorry. I'm sure you are. But I still don't want to talk. And that's perfectly acceptable. But Spock and his dad don't have that kind of relationship, do they? Not that I know of. What's Gene Roddenberry thinking? I don't know. Okay, but you see, where it's, like with me, I'm very cordial to my family. I'm very kind and love them and, miss them, want to be around them. I'm a very forgiving person. Okay. You can get together with people that home invaded me and sexually groomed and abused my wife and my kids, and I will understand that you were being manipulated by jerks, the scientific community of Las Cruces, Sierra Vista, and Fort Bliss and stuff, and all these creepos. And I will say, that's okay. I understand. I understand that you were being, like with me. A lot of people. I love my kids, and I forgive my kids and my ex-wives. Okay, but every time I try to have a relationship with them, they're as abusive to me as their mothers because of the manipulation of the scientific community, which I've explained beyond any reasonable doubts. Okay. And I didn't take money from my kids through the state the state, which is corrupt, and use it to go out and have promiscuous sex and party and stuff like my wife did with me when I was taking care of the kids. Okay, and so I don't deserve to be treated, but I understand like the people here in this community that are rude to me when I'm nice to them. Okay, you're scared of the big brother and the virtual presence of I understand. I understand that you are frightened by people that are bullies, but if you keep being frightened by those bullies, you become the result of those bullies. Okay, and this time, it's not going to be turned into a comic book they read at the Vatican. And we don't need Cathedral High School anymore because you don't have to pay a lot of money to a corporation to indoctrinate your children into a social contract that's archaic and no longer necessary because we understand religion better now. Right. And it's horrible for people. That man in Michigan the other day was trained to be a killer Marine for corporate tribal conflict and then picked out a part of one of the corporations that he thought was most responsible for things he considered wrong. And then he physically tried to kill them because he was trained to do so by your taxpayer dollars. Okay, so when you deny the Lord's Prayer and vote for taxpayer dollars, who trained that man to go to that church in Michigan? Right? And when you respond with violence to other people's violence and conflict over economics, who is participating in that? Like I tell people when they say, that's not my president, did you vote in the contest? Yes. Well, then you get the winner of the contest. Okay? You either elect to live the Lord's Prayer or you vote in a contest, a conflict over money. Okay? So anytime people are murdered in conflict over money, okay, and you participate in that conflict, you are equally responsible for that murder. All right. The Supreme Court can't explain it to you, but I can, and quantum computing is more intelligent than the Supreme Court. Trust me. Okay, this is a very serious matter. You can go on TV, you can be more people that are professional wrestling fans and UFC fans can know who you are and talk about how much they like you and watching you on social media. And subscribe to your social media channel and get updates every time you talk to Fox News or to C-SPAN or MSNBC, right? But it doesn't matter. Lots of more people, okay, knew who Adolf Hitler was than Haile Selassie, okay? More people knew who Leonid Brezhnev was, okay, and Harry Truman, who dropped nuclear weapons on civilians, okay, then they knew who D.T. Suzuki was or Jiddu Krishnamurti, okay? But Jiddu Krishnamurti and D.T. Suzuki and Haile Selassie have major religious documents that describe their existence and advance to their existence and how important they are to the world, okay? Bill Gates doesn't have books that have religions that have the stories of their existence before his existence and his contribution to the world and keeping people safe and loving people and helping people understand, obey, and observe natural laws. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't. Okay? Elon Musk does not. Donald Trump does not. Barack Obama does not. Joe Biden does not. Kamala Harris does not. The Avengers don't. The Justice League doesn't. Any of those actors, Dwayne Rock Johnson, no. Okay? None of them are the one they call Lord, born in the valley of the shadow of death, where they threaten to blow everybody up with nuclear weapons if they can't abuse people with money and propaganda, whose mother's name was Mary. And Dad's name is Raphael. Do you understand? Okay. I don't think you guys do. You try to make me feel insignificant sitting here in a remodeled garage being abused by the worst perverts in the history of jealousdom. Okay. And it is abusive. Okay. When I try to sleep and the impulses that I'm given through the technology and my body's reaction to chemical poisoning that's killing most people. That little lady that was dying from, before her daughter's quinceañera. And that's sad. Okay. What we need to do is get, like I told Lori Paulson, they need to take you up in the mountains, completely de-stress you and completely detox you. And see if your body can be well enough still to recover. And give you no stress and no toxins whatsoever. And then just a bunch of affection and love, and your kids and your husband just take a year or two off work, spend all his time making sure his wife is healthy and making sure that the kids know that mom's going to be okay. She shouldn't be jogging between Treviso and the freeway to try to keep up with the Joneses because it's not keeping her healthy. You either survive or die. And that's horrible to do to a mother. And that's horrible to do to her children because her children have to feel that torture and that abuse and that manipulation eternally. Okay, I've met her son and he's a wonderful young man. Okay, he's sweet and he wants to stop. I told him I lost my mom to cancer too. And so I understand. And I'm doing everything in my ability to eradicate the cause of rapid cancer cell reproduction to shut people down from toxic, stressful environments. I work diligently at it. I'm the most consistent, diligent worker at stopping that kind of mass murder and that kind of narcissistic, egotistical interaction than anybody else in the whole entire world. I even do it in my sleep. I wake up and pick up the phone and stuff, and this is how I work. Trust me, I put in better work, and I do it with more devotion, more intelligence, and more logic and reason than anybody else. I don't have to get up and go do things excessively to pay bills or drive cars or put up windmills and shit like that. Okay? Forgive debt and trespass, love one, eternal faithful peace. We'll put a smaller windmill right outside your house to provide the energy needed to provide energy for your house to sustain the things needed for a comfortable, healthy life. We don't need big, gigantic bird-killing windmills for people to stay multimillionaires and billionaires to keep you consuming their products and manipulating, doing things irrationally. I'm trying to save Jeff Bezos' life from his own technology. I'm trying to save Mark Zuckerberg from his own technology. I'm trying to save people that have participated in the torture of myself and my family because they are jealous of me before I was even born. Okay? From being exterminated by their own devices that they invented to feel powerful and be manipulative to make themselves feel powerful. I'm trying to save them from their own brain chemical addiction. Everybody says selfish. No, because I will live a good life the moment they accept good lives and live good lives too. It's not selfish. It's do unto others as you'd have them to do unto you. Share, care, give in accordance to need, built to last. Forgive debt and trespass, love one, eternal, faithful peace. Life's eternal and grace is infinite. Okay, it's just logic. It's more logic than Gene Roddenberry's imagination and the actor who drives up in a car from Los Angeles, goes to a set and pretends to be in Strange New Worlds in Paramount Studio or wherever they filmed it, right? I am so tired. Okay. But I'm a good person and I'll keep going. And I am fixing this technology actively right now. You're either helping, okay, or you're trying to act like it's not happening. That's your decision. Okay, I would help. Okay, and then the quicker we help, the quicker I'm relaxing, enjoying my kids, enjoying fresh air, and we're not extorting, exploiting, mass murdering. Everything can radically change faster than a coffee pot to the head and a fork to the throat. Okay? Song of Wyoming to me. It's John Dusendorf. Yeah, it's German, like my mother's side of the family. Okay, peace out.